Welcome back to the channel. Today I am going down to the State Patrol to get the salvage title and the VIN inspection redone on the Hellcat. And the reason why I have to get it redone is because in my county, they're doing appointments for the DMV and they're so far out, and before they were so far out, now it's 2 months. Before it was like 6 to 8 months, and it's, you know, these are only good for a year. So gonna go do that, have another appointment, and I might just do something different so I can, you know, register and, you know, get the title in my name in a different county, because our county is just the only county that's doing these appointments still so far out. So let's start the Hellcat up. You know, everybody knows she runs and drives really good, and then we'll go from there. Got done with the VIN inspection slash salvage title inspection once again. Pretty much the guy just refilled the paperwork out, didn't even look at the car much, and you know, I paid him another 50 bucks. So now I have already made an appointment. It is like 2 months and a week away, which is still a long time. So I'll be, you know, still not having the title for the Hellcat, unfortunately. But now what I'm going to do is I need to go pick a car up from Colorado Springs, and it's addition to the Grand Prix project. Trailer hooked up to the truck, headed up to Colorado Springs to get the new parts car. So the Grand Prix needs some batteries, and I'm getting a Chevy Volt today, which the guy hit a deer in it and it doesn't run anymore because the deer messed up a bunch of electronic stuff, but the batteries are like in the back center of the car. So the battery should be completely fine. It has low miles, which is really nice. And then we'll have batteries for the Grand Prix once I get to that stage. But finding, you know, these usually go pretty cheap when they're wrecked, but finding one right now is kind of a pain. Plus one local that I don't have to deal with. Buying from the auction and shipping and all that stuff is also a plus. So we'll be up there in probably like 30-40 minutes. Put up the Grand Prix, just getting fuel because I forgot that I didn't have any gas in my truck. Luckily enough, there's a gas station close by. But yeah, this thing is destroyed. So they hit a deer, looks like they hit it in this corner, hit the roof. Luckily it didn't go through the windshield. I guess his daughter was okay, but yeah, what I need it for is just the batteries, which the batteries are good. It looks like it has brand new tires on it. I'll probably end up using the charging stuff for the Grand Prix as well, and then just part the rest of it out. The interior is nice. Other than that, I probably, there's this plug right here that's broken that goes in this module, and that's why none of it works. The core support smashed in that, so maybe I could get that to work again, and maybe I could go take it for a little drive before I pull the batteries out of it, just to make sure everything's good. But really happy with this purchase because I got this thing for 1,700 bucks, and it pretty much, the batteries I guess are worth like 3 grand, 3-ish grand, but, and then I could sell the rest of the parts and not really have anything in the batteries, which will be really nice. Just got the Bambi Smasher 5000 back to the junkyard, and what I'm going to do is this core support right here is pushed in. You can see it's pushed in that plug. So what I'm going to try to do is I have the winch hooked up to it, this upper radiator support, but this module is, oh, that's a hood popper, but this module right here is actually connected down there, and I think it was holding it back. So pretty much all that stuff is pushed up. You can see how bad that connector is. Hopefully I could get all the pins to line back up, but I think now I should be able to pull this forward, and I have it hooked up to the, what is that, a 9,000 pound winch. Hopefully we do good. I mean, it kind of worked. Kind of gave her the yoink. Oh yeah, now the plugs are more accessible. I think that did the job. I should be able to get all of this hopefully fixed up. Then I can just back it off the trailer. So I'm gonna mess with these plugs a little bit. I got both of these plugs pretty much in there. This one is pretty bad. It actually broke this piece right here, but all the pins are okay, and all the pins in this one are okay. So I have this one just kind of resting in there. It should be able to pull off the trailer. This one actually clipped back in, and we just have a bunch of just broken stuff from the headlight and all that stuff. So, and you can see some Bambi right there, and yeah, just a bunch of stuff. So what I'm gonna do now is, when we pulled it on the trailer, it had juice and everything illuminated, but now it doesn't. So the guy was saying that the battery back here, the 12 volt battery, was dead, but for some reason it actually worked when we put it in neutral and everything. So hopefully I could put my battery, just put some jumper cables on it, and it'll jump the system, and hopefully the high voltage battery is charged, so then the engine will run and all that stuff will work. Because if since that was unplugged, it didn't want to start. The key on, and you could hear this high voltage module humming, and it seems like it engaged. It said ready to drive and park. All I have to do now, put the ramps on, and I could hopefully drive this thing off the trailer, which will be, well, actually technically I need to, so the bumper was, this thing's super low for my trailer, so the bumper I had to, since it was already messed up, I didn't care, but it was catching that. So I'll have to grab some pieces of wood, so once I get to the edge, I could drive over those pieces of wood and not mess the bumper up or anything underneath the car anymore. So I don't want to damage anything. The batteries are back there, so I won't damage those, but I would rather minimize the damage. But let's get the straps undone and get all this stuff off of here, and maybe be able to go take it for a little test drive. For some reason, it doesn't want to start the engine or use the batteries. So I'm guessing it's because this is broken and that's coolant that runs through there. There's probably like a safety or something like that if there is no coolant in it, so it doesn't overheat and burn to the ground. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna jack the trailer up so it's at an angle, and then I've already put it in neutral. I'll hook the winch back up to it, and then just gradually let it go back, and then I'll pull it up with the forklift. What I'm gonna do with this thing is pretty much just use the batteries, part the rest of it out, and just kind of go from there. These tires on here are like brand new. So, and also I saw the, it has all the information from how many miles per gallon this thing gets. It showed like 35 mpgs for this fuel cycle, and then the last one it shows it was like 60 something mpgs, which is crazy. I mean, it is a 4-cylinder. It's probably not super quick, but I'm sure it's not super slow because it does have that electric motor in it and everything. So let's get this thing off the trailer. Unfortunately, I can't pull it off, but other than that, it is a really decent car. So other than the roof being super caved in, I mean, just look at this in here. It is just like crazy. I can't believe the airbags didn't go off. A lot of the newer cars I've been seeing, the airbags don't ever deploy. So like my truck, it was super wrecked and it didn't deploy, and then this didn't deploy. A bunch of stuff that I have gotten hasn't had airbags deployed, and stuff that I have seen go through the auction, which it's like, man, looks like the airbag should have deployed on that, and it doesn't. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on, but maybe they're just making the sensors a little bit more harder to set the airbags off, which, you know, some of the wrecks I've seen have been pretty substantial. Probably this one, it was probably not a super hard hit, but I mean, this was pushed all the way in, so it should have felt that shock, because there should be a sensor on both sides. Not exactly sure why the airbags didn't go off. The 240Z and the 240SX are now moved. I put the 240SX temporarily outside, and the 240Z I put in this nice clean area that I cleaned up. I got the 240Z RB30, the head, and a bunch of the other parts up there. This LS4 is kind of in the way. I've been waiting on some parts. The starter still hasn't come. So I have the oil pan, the starter hasn't come, and the solid subframe bushings haven't come. So until I get those, it's just kind of taking up space. The old transmission, I've been trying to sell that, but I don't think anybody wants it, even though it is a good transmission. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to get the volts in here. What I'm gonna pull out of it is the battery pack, which is underneath, under kind of the back seat area. It's like a T, and I'll pull the charger and the DC to DC. This up here I don't need. I'm pretty sure I don't need it, but I'll probably just pull it and keep it, and it's probably okay. So if I don't need it, I'll just end up selling it. But the rest of the car, I'm gonna part out. You know, the engine's good, the transmission and the electric motor inside the transmission are good, and then the interior, the leather seats, I wish I could put these in the Grand Prix, because they're really nice. The bolstering in them's nice. The back seats as well have kind of the same thing going on. They're like a split thing, which is kind of cool. And yeah, pretty much nice. This door's kind of messed up. This door's good. The rest of the doors are good. That fender over there is good. We have a good hatch, good bumper. Brand new tires. I'll probably pull the tires off the wheels. The wheels are good. And then I'm gonna pull this charger port out of the fender, and I'll probably just take this whole fender out, and I'll make this work with my fender. So I should, you know, I want it to still be able to pop. I don't know how I'm gonna make that work so it pops with the key. So I'll try to figure that out, but I do want the charger port to have like this nice cover and kind of look factory as well. So let's get this yoinked into the shop with the forklift and then start tearing the stuff out of it that we want, or that I want, and then just kind of go from there. But yeah, look at my coupe. It's actually kind of nice to see this thing kind of almost every day. This is the bottom of the Volt, and as you can see, this T-shape right there is the battery pack. So what I'm going to start doing is removing everything that I need to pull it down, disconnect all the connectors. Some of this is high voltage, so you have to be kind of cautious. Looking at this fuel tank, it's surprising how small that is. So the range on this, it said it was like a 1,200 mile range. So even with, that has to be like 5 gallons or 6 gallons of fuel. It still gets 1,200 miles to a charge in a tank, which is really interesting. So let's get this thing down, get everything disconnected, and just kind of go from there. You can see some high voltage stuff here. I'll probably end up utilizing this fuel tank because it's a lot smaller than the one that I have, and I'll need a smaller fuel tank. I wish I could use a bigger one, but we'll just use this one and then just kind of go from there. So I put 5 plastic pallets underneath the Volt, started pulling the bolts out that I can't access once the battery pack is setting on the pallets. And then once I get it low enough to set on the pallets, I'll pull these additional bolts all the way down and the whole battery pack will drop. Don't pull these 10s because they hold the 2 cases together and you don't want to split those. So I looked, trying to find, because I've never pulled one of these, try to find information on how to, and there wasn't any. So it's just these bolts to drop the pack, and then once you start to drop it, then there's connections up front that you can get to and unplug everything, and then just pull the whole pack out all together as one piece, one assembly. So then if you want to mess with doing stuff and condensing the batteries and making them not in this T shape, then you can pull the bolts, all these 10 mils, once it's already dropped out of the car. But then you get to the high voltage stuff where it's really dangerous. It's still kind of dangerous because you're unplugging high voltage up there, but then it's all exposed, all metal. And if you complete the circuit, you're gonna die. So the battery pack is now out of the Volt, and these are lithium ion battery packs. So the good thing about it is I could use it in a bunch of different projects if I wanted to. A lot of people use these in battery backup for their houses, but what I just did was I pulled this fuse out, and this pretty much kills all the power or voltage and amperage going to the front. So if you touch that, and I don't want to do it because I'd probably check it with a voltmeter first, but if you touch those, they're dead. So right here, the coolant lines, they just have the normal little clips. I had one right there on the floor. These normal ones, they just pretty much come out really nice with a pick. These just are push. They have a little red lock. You just pull the red lock out first, then do it with your hand. Also, I would recommend dropping the exhaust because it gives you a lot more access. The one I would do last is this plug. It has a 10 millimeter and then it ratchets it out, but I wouldn't pull that first because you have to reach up to unhook these two up here, which I wouldn't want to have my hand rubbing across both of those terminals because your bare skin completes a circuit. I mean, it would just go pretty much across that, but I mean, it hurt really bad. So also these have safety locks on them as well. They're white. You just push on the front. Let me see if I can find a good one to show you. So right there, you can see there's a little hole in the front right there, and it has white in it. And you just pretty much use a pick like that right there. You push it up and then pull it out, and then you use a screwdriver to pull it the rest of the way out. Then you could go up in there, grab it with your hand, and you just push that orange tab right there. They come off really, really nice. But the worst thing you could do is pretty much touch these. Going like this, the circuit would be completed through my fingers like that. But if I touched one side like this and one side with my other hand, it would complete the circuit through my body. That would be really bad because this would hurt. But if it went through your body, DC pretty much, it would stop your heart. So this wouldn't stop your heart. Technically, it may not, but it'd probably give you a nice jolt. But yeah, you just kind of want to be very careful around DC and AC and stuff like that and high voltage systems. So it even has a guy right there getting shocked. It says 300 volts. I feel like they're more than 300 volts, but okay. So yeah, and then like I said, the coolant runs through there and everything. So I'm really happy that I have this thing out, and it says okay to ship. I wonder if this is a remand. Probably not, because it says 7/13/12 and this is a 2013. So I don't, and it shows lithium ion on the top there. So if you did want to pull this apart, you just pull all the 10 mils out here, which I'll probably end up doing eventually. But right now I'm just gonna leave it on one of those pallets, put it on the shelf, and pretty much for this video today, I'm done because it's getting pretty late and I haven't eaten anything all day and I'm starting to get a headache. So what I'm gonna do now is push the S13 back in just under the Volt. I'm still gonna pull a bunch of other stuff off the Volt in a couple later videos. Probably in the next video on the Volt, because I need this stuff right here for the charger, and I need a bunch of other stuff. So I need to pretty much get all that for, a lot of people I posted on Instagram that I got a Volt and they thought I was gonna put this electric motor, but it's in a transmission. This battery pack is for the P100 Model X drive unit. So these battery packs actually put out a lot more juice, which makes a lot more power on the ludicrous motors. So instead of making 600, you can make a lot more. So I have secrets. I have plans. I was looking at the 240Z. I was like, man, the 240Z would be really fast if I had, you know, two Model X P100 ludicrous sport motors in it. But you know, I don't know, maybe that's a kind of good idea. But then I'd have to figure out where I'm going to mount all these huge batteries. And once you break these down, they're not horribly huge, but you know, they're still pretty large. So I'm going to end the video here. If you like these videos, make sure to click that subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, throw a comment below. As always, see you guys next time.